Good morning, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Courtney Yockey. I am with the Effingham Regional Growth Alliance and here today to present on the Effingham County Business Resiliency Grant. We have an excellent presentation stored for you. Today, we're going to review this grant opportunity, outline eligibility requirements, discuss eligible reimbursements, and detail how to apply. Joining me for this discussion, hopefully, is Josh Douthat, Chairman for the Effingham County Board. He unfortunately just got pulled away, but he might be able to jump in. We also have Luke Easton, who's interim executive director and the grant manager for the South Central Illinois Regional Planning and Development Commission, and Brooke Frederick, who is a loan portfolio manager and a planner too for the South Central Illinois Regional Planning and Development Commission. So to get us started out, what is the Business Resiliency Grant? Well, this is an opportunity for businesses to apply for up to a $20,000 reimbursement for equipment purchased or rented to prevent, prepare for, or respond to COVID-19. Now that PPR, that prevent, prepare for, and respond to COVID-19 is very important for this grant opportunity. I would note that this is not a competitive program, and it is based on a first come, first served basis. Local businesses apply through a lead local government, which we'll get into a little further detail further in the presentation. To be eligible, you must have been in business on March 21st of 2020, must currently be open for business, and must have at least one employee. Over to the right of your screen, you'll see the flyer that we have that's distributed around, and on the back side of that flyer is actually a checklist for the required documents and things that you need to be able to apply. We will make a copy of this presentation available to you and have the a PDF of that flyer as well. So for the Effingham County Business Resiliency Grant, this is a grant through the state of Illinois, and it's an interesting one in that the state of Illinois has asked all eligible counties to submit one application to where all businesses apply under one application to the state of Illinois to help keep it organized. And Effingham County has elected to be that lead local government in that they cover all businesses within Effingham County. Businesses can apply directly to the county, and we'll go to the South Central Illinois Regional Planning and Development Commission and partner with them to administer this program. We'll assemble all the applications together into one single one that gets submitted to the state of Illinois. Very thankful for the county to step up and be able to be the lead local government for this program, and very thankful for the South Central Illinois Regional Planning and Development Commission to assist us in administering this. Next up, we have Luke Easton, who is going to discuss this program in greater detail for us. Luke, are you prepared to present?
I am. Thank you, Courtney. I appreciate it. Yeah, so Luke Easton, like you said, South Central Illinois Regional Planning and Development Commission. Real quick thing about us, we're in Salem, Illinois. We do work for 5 counties, local government assistance, grant writing, grant administration, and we're located in Salem, Illinois. So that's enough about that. Now on to what you're here about. The actual grant program itself, I'm going to try to go into a little bit more detail. And go ahead and hit the next slide for me, Courtney. So like as was already stated, Illinois Business Resiliency Grant Program. All the funding for this program comes from HUD, so Department of Housing and Urban Development, and they were provided a set amount of funds through the Federal CARES Act, and that money has been passed down from the federal level to each state to kind of utilize the way they deem fit within some HUD guidelines. And the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity are the ones who are putting forward this particular grant. So that 24,185,793 number you're looking at right there is how much funding is available in this Business Resiliency Grant Program for the entire state of Illinois. And as Courtney stated already, it is a first come, first served basis. So there's no deadline for as far as the state's concerned, but Effingham County, South Central, as well as the Alliance are trying to get as quickly as we can this application in. So we have an opportunity to get these funds, and they're not gone before we have a chance to get them. You can go ahead and hit the next slide, Courtney. Well, so probably one of the big questions, right? Courtney said, prevent, prepare, respond to COVID-19. What exactly is eligible for that $20,000 reimbursement? Well, again, it's, as you see here, it's permanent or semi-permanent equipment or depreciable property that you purchased specifically because of COVID-19. So that could be plexiglass partition, that could be some sort of air purifying equipment for your building. The one kicker that kind of I can kind of separate that out for you a little bit is anything that reconfigured your building. So if you're tearing down walls, that kind of stuff is not going to be eligible. Um, and we can go into more detail a little bit about what's eligible and what's not a little bit later on if anyone has any questions about that. But I'll leave it simple for now. Go ahead, hit the next slide. This is kind of just a repeat of mostly of what Courtney had in an earlier slide. But again, I'll just repeat, businesses had to have been in business on March 21st, 2020. At the time we're applying, which will be in October, I believe, is when the final submission will be. You have to be in business then, and you have to be in business to receive the reimbursement. All businesses have to have one employee other than the owner, and all the W-2s for those employees should be filed annually. Go ahead, next slide. So another piece that can be a little bit confusing is the low to moderate income requirement. So since the funds come from the Department of Housing and Urban Development, they have a national objective where their funds have to go toward at least 51% per project, at least 51% low to moderate income individuals. With this particular grant, they have kind of they've made it a little bit easier than normal. As you can see, that first line there, if the business is located in a census tract that has a 20% poverty rate or higher, then you're automatically eligible. In Effingham County, city of Effingham, for the most part, does fall within one of those tracks. That link there, I know you can't click on the link, but that there is a link there for to look at the poverty status by census tract. That will be made available to you also, so you can take a peek at that yourself, or you can always reach out to us. If your business does not fall in a census tract with 20% poverty, that doesn't mean you're not eligible right away. If a majority of the current employees that work for the business are per Effingham County Section 8 low income data, if they fall within those limits, then they're eligible. So basically 51% of your employees have to be lower than a particular threshold on those income levels. And again, there's a link there to the Effingham County income limits. So what you'll be looking at on that one, you can always reach out to us to double check. Or you can look on that link is you'll look for one person family. So it doesn't matter if your employee has 10 people in the house, 5 people in the house. What you want to be looking at is that category that has for a one person family, it'll have a listing of the income rates. So you can look at that and double check and make sure that that you have majority of employees are falling within that threshold. And how the state of Illinois will review that is through the Illinois 941 forms. And so that's how they'll check the LMI status of the employees. Even if you fall in a census tract with 20% poverty, the state of Illinois still wants to have in the application Illinois 941 forms for the employees. You can go ahead and next slide, Courtney. So this is the checklist that Courtney also mentioned that's on the back of the flyer. I'm not going to go through each one individually. Some of you might have seen this already, but I'll just touch on a couple of them. The duplication of benefits certification. So what that certification kind of is ensuring that the state of Illinois is not providing you funds for something that you've already received funds for through a different COVID program, if that makes sense, like a PPE program or something like that. That's what that duplication of benefits cert is. I already talked about the Illinois 941s. Let's see, reimbursement summary is kind of the big one. Okay, so that's where we're going to have they're going to lay out exactly what your up to $20,000, what your expenses are. You'll include with that invoices for those purchases, as well as showing it's paid through receipts, bank statements, etc. And also, to help us and to help yourself, a short narrative for each item that you're wanting to be reimbursed for. Um, we can kind of try to tell a story in the grant, so to speak, for each individual business that this purchase was to prepare, prevent, or respond to COVID-19. That's that PPR. So a short narrative is helpful as well. And there is a link at the bottom of this, which will be made available to you as well, that actually has kind of those fillable forms of this checklist. You can go to the next slide. Okay, completed applications. So when do we have to get these completed? We have a deadline of September 22nd, 2023. We set that deadline not only to try to get this into the state of Illinois as soon as possible and be one of those first applicants in, but also, pardon me. Where was I? The applications, yeah. Just get them in as soon as possible. Completed applications can be either dropped off at the Effingham County Office Building, as it's stated there, or you can electronically submit them to me via email. My email is at the bottom of that page. If you have any questions, that's our next slide, but if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us individually about any of the checklist items, anything like that. Next slide, go ahead. And this is our contact information for me and Brooke. We're here 8 to 4 pretty much every day except for the weekend. So feel free to call or email, and we'll get back to you as quickly as we possibly can. And if you come up with a real tough one for us, don't worry. We might have to call you back, but we'll come with an answer pretty quickly for you. All right. Thank you.
Luke and Brooke, thank you very much for educating us there and walking through the business resiliency grant opportunity and walking through what is needed to apply and the eligibility requirements. If you see in the chat, Brooke has put several links in there to the business resiliency webpage, the Effingham County income limits, and we'll make sure that these links are made available to you. We'll follow up with those that have registered with an email for a link for this recording, a copy of the slide deck today, and any relevant links. And then you can also download those, download the flyer, and we'll have the various links and the link to the recording as well on the Effingham Regional Growth Alliance's webpage, on our Facebook page, and on LinkedIn. And I believe the county will try to put it on theirs as well. So as noted right at the beginning of this presentation, Chairman Josh Douthat, Chairman for the Effingham County Board, unfortunately got quickly pulled away due to a fire alarm in the building that he was in. But he has rejoined us and would like to go back and just quickly allow him the opportunity to discuss how this grant is organized and the county utilizing the South Central Illinois Regional Planning Commission. And Josh, are you prepared for a quick presentation?
Yeah, thanks, Courtney. I apologize. Well, hey, one good thing that happened, I found out our county employees don't panic at all when there's fire alarms, because we kind of all looked at each other like, is this real? But it ended up being real. So we did have to go outside for a little while, but everything is good and we're back in here. So I won't take up too much of your guys' time. I appreciate you joining. As far as all the business owners and those interested, the Effingham County Board appreciates the opportunity to work closely with South Central Planning and the Alliance in promoting this business resiliency grant. As chairman, I personally walked businesses to make them aware of this opportunity, but I do encourage participants today to pass the word to friends and family who may also own businesses that qualify. Once we were aware of this grant, Effingham County pushed to be the lead entity to submit the grant on behalf of our Effingham County businesses. And that's kind of how it's set up. Everybody collectively will give their information to South Central Planning, and then we will submit that as one application on behalf of Effingham County businesses. So it made sense to put it under the county umbrella to serve not only any rural businesses, but those other businesses that are within the villages and cities within the county. So we're excited about it. We appreciate the support from Luke and Brooke and everybody else, as well as Courtney, in this process. They do a great job of making us aware of these opportunities. So we do have the application on our website as well. So I encourage everybody that thinks they qualify to look at that and get the information in by the deadline. So thanks for the time. I appreciate it. If there's anything we can do at Effingham County, just let us know. Reach out to us.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, sir. And most certainly appreciate the county board stepping up and being the lead local government for this opportunity and trying to assist and help our local businesses. This is an excellent opportunity for local businesses that if you've not really qualified or fit into other grant opportunities previously, if you have expenses from the purchase or rent of the equipment for the PPR, and to be able to be reimbursed to it. So definitely want people to pay attention to this, take a quick look at it, run through those screening questions. If you're opening business back in March of 21st, 2020, if you're currently opening a business and you have at least one employee, dive into this. We'll have a recording of this webinar today available to be reviewed again. You'll have the information, the contact information for the South Central Regional Planning Commission to ask questions. You can reach out to the Alliance as well, try to help you as much as we can. So at this portion of today's webinar, we're going to enter into a Q&A session. The first question that we have is to Luke with the Regional Planning Commission. And really, what are examples of some eligible items that businesses can apply for? I think that's one of the biggest questions that we get is, okay, you've told us the info. What does this really mean?
Sure. It does vary on business, and it's not an easy question to answer. You'd think it'd be easy, but there's so many different things that could technically qualify to meet that PPR standard that's kind of set there. You can get to point of sale systems, for example. If you have like kind of customer service walk up where they, instead of having papers handed back and forth, if your business decided to use some sort of electronic software on a tablet or something like that, or that theoretically could be an eligible expense. If you start having an online presence, that's a possibility as well. So the real kicker here is, I would say, if you even think you have something remotely possible, if you did something after COVID that you think you wouldn't have done if it wasn't for COVID, even if it doesn't fit into a particular structure, reach out to us, tell us the story, and it's very possible that it's eligible. A lot of this is based on what kind of narrative we put together and what kind of story we're telling the state. That's what I would say. Yeah.
And maybe to go in a little greater detail, and just thinking the restaurants, either purchase or rented tents to do the outdoor dining. Tents would be eligible for reimbursement through this opportunity.
Yes.
And then every business, especially if you had a customer-facing business, had the plexiglass dividers to try to create some separation. Those plexiglass dividers are something that is eligible. And I think a good thing to distinguish here, the PPE, the hand sanitizers, masks, stuff like that, are those things eligible?
No, those are not eligible.
No. So equipment that was purchased or rented, and first thing my mind goes to is those dividers. Unfortunately, unfortunately, PPE is not, but the quite a large eligible list and things that can be, as long as it ties back to that the PPR and how we tell our story. So if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. Glad that you're able to join us here. We do have a few additional questions we'll keep running through. It was noted for the eligibility must have at least one employee. And could you go in that a little greater detail? I think you mentioned W-2 a little earlier in your presentation, but is a 1099 employee eligible as well?
No, unfortunately not for this particular grant. I know some businesses just have an owner and then they use 1099 employees for all the time. That's all they have. For this particular grant, no, you have to have at least one other, I do apologize, at least one other non-1099 employee, yes.
So no contracted labor. It has to be an actual employee that is somebody that receives a W-2 from a business.
At least one more other than the owner, yep.
At least one more. For the low to moderate income eligibility, and you had noted on that, and that there is a map, and we'll provide a link to that map to be able to view to see if you're in the 2 census tracts within the city of Effingham that automatically apply for the low to moderate income, or if you are outside of that. Nonetheless, everybody has to submit an Illinois 941. Is that correct?
That is correct, and that can sometimes be confusing. So it's a good thing to reiterate that even if you are a business that already qualifies based on that census tract poverty percentage, that 20% threshold, the state of Illinois still wants 941s for all the employees. Correct.
So all applicants must submit their 941s, regardless if you are in those designated census tracts or not.
That is correct.
And then speaking towards eligibility and really the maybe the heart and soul of this application, if you will, that might be a bit deep, but the summary, how we are able to tell our story, how we're able to make ties to the PPR, and to make a case that what we are submitting for reimbursement for is eligible through the program. There's a narrative, there's a summary that a business owner is able to write in the application. There again, tell their story. And maybe this one, I'll go to Brooke for this one here. I know you guys are working one-on-one with local businesses through this narrative and what may need to be in there. Are there limits to it? Is there a word limit, or what do you recommend to be able to help businesses through that process of the application?
Yeah, so we're suggesting you keep it concise and straight to the point. Only a couple of sentences per paragraph for each item. Keep in mind the DCO is looking through a number of applications, a number of different items, and the last thing they want to do is read a whole essay per item. So if you can keep it short and sweet and get to the point, let's try for that.
Awesome. And I have Jonna Schultz with us today. She is a project manager for the Effingham Regional Growth Alliance. Jonna, can you just quickly tell people how they can submit their applications, where they can find the application, and if they need some assistance, who can they reach out to?
Oh, sure, Courtney. Lots of opportunities to submit an application and learn more about this opportunity. I'd first advise going to the groweffinghamcountyil.com website, and up there at the top in the tab, there's the Business Resiliency page. Just click on that. You're going to see a lot of different information there. There'll be a recording of this webinar, so that'll be great. We also have links for everything that you need to have is right there. You can also reach out directly to Luke or Brooke. Their phone numbers there as well as their emails. And as I mentioned earlier, apparently this is also available on the county's website, so I'm glad to see that. We'll also have it on our Facebook page. And the deadline for this is September the 22nd. So, and from what we're hearing from businesses, it takes a couple days to get an application like this put together. So I'd really encourage all those on the webinar to be thinking about this and starting down the road of getting this together.
Thank you, Jonna. Thank you to Jonna, Josh, Luke, and Brooke for educating our local businesses about this grant opportunity. We significantly encourage you to take a deep dive into this and to look and see if you think you're eligible, if you have anything that you purchased or rented that would help, that helped you through COVID-19 for the PPR. This is a potential opportunity for you. If you have any questions, call us here at the Alliance, call the South Central Illinois Regional Planning Commission. We'll provide a copy of this recording. We'll provide a copy of the slide deck and all relevant supplemental materials and links too. And with that, we'll go ahead and conclude today's webinar. Again, a big thank you to all those that participated, and hope that our local businesses found this informative, and we'll dive into this potential grant opportunity. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you, everyone.